لك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة.
لك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة.
ربي ذا المن من شرور الدهر آمن والملائكة. ثم طمن ربي واغفر ما سلف منا والملائكة.
لك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة.
يا خليل.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه نستعين. اللهم يسر ولا تعسر. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. We start with we did باب ما يبطل التيمم, we did فرائض الصلاة, we did سنن الصلاة. So today we're going to look at Sujood al-Sahwi, and then we look at باب ما يبطل الصلاة. So we're going to combine Sujood al-Sahwi, which is the sujood for forgetfulness in prayer, and also we will be looking at the things that do spoil our prayer, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. للسهو في الصلاة السجدتان قبل السلام حالة النقصان. نعم. So للسهو for forgetfulness in prayer. سجدتان, you have two sujoods. قبل السلام حالة النقصان. That is when we are in a state of forgetfulness. When we reduce something in prayer, we have to do sujood as-sahwi, which is the sujood of fixing our prayer. And to start with this, I want to remind us regarding sujood as-sahwi, it only fixes things that we omit in our prayer. That is sunnah. It does not fix anything that is fard, or it does not fix anything that is mustahab. That is the reason why wherever or whenever we're talking about our prayer, we go systematic and look at the compulsory aspect of our prayer, and look at the sunnah of the prayer, and look at the part of the prayer that is called mustahab. It's very important to acknowledge this. Sometimes if you don't know the differences, when you omit your prayer or something happening in the prayer, you don't know what exactly do you need to do to fix the prayer. So to start with, very importantly, sujood al-sahwi is basically for our sunnah part of the prayer. Now, للسهو في الصلاة سجدتان, for forgetfulness in a prayer, سجدتان قبل السلام حالة النقصان. When we reduce, when we are in a state of reduction in our prayer, we have two sujood to fix the prayer before salam. Which means when we finish the prayer, we make the tashahhud or the tahiyyah, we finish that, before we say salam, then we go to the sujood 2 times and come back. With Imam Malik, you have to repeat the tahiyyah. In another madhahib, you don't need to repeat the tahiyyah. You just make the sujood, get up, sit down, and then say salam. But Imam Malik, we have to repeat the tahiyyah again. And for your information, both are right. But remember, anything that you recite in your prayer, every single letter, you get the reward for it. So repeating the tahiyyah is more or less good for you in that way. So we do 2 sujoods before salam when we reduce in our prayer. وحالة النقصان والزيادة إن وقع معا لك الإفادة. نعم. وحالة النقصان, when we reduce in a prayer, previously it was just reduction. But if in one particular prayer, we have some part of it, there was a reduction, and some part of it, there was addition. So we got both hukum in one prayer. We added some part, we reduced some part. One prayer. What do we do? Which of the rulings are we taking? So it said, Laka al-ifada, which means that the rulings that you were given in the previous, which is the ruling of reduction, is what you use for combination of reduction and addition in one prayer. So when you added in a prayer and also you reduce in the same prayer, you use the same ruling, which is the ruling of reduction. That is the one that we spoke about at the beginning, which is 2 sujoods before salam. 2 sujoods before salam. The reason is, when you look at combination of addition and subtraction in one prayer, reduction is stronger than adding extra in your prayer. That is why you use the ruling of the reduction when you got both reduction and addition in your prayer. وفي الزيادة مع الشق سجدتا أو سجد بعد السلام. Here the ruling is now changing. I prayed. In my prayer before salam, I felt like the prayer is complete, or I added. Look at this carefully. I don't have any doubt that there is a reduction. No, I know that definitely it's either I got my prayer fully complete or there is addition. So now my doubt is only I feel like I added something, or I feel like the prayer is exactly the same. So when I am in this situation, what do? So this one I will do ba'di wa atina tashahuda. So with this one I will do ba'di. Ba'di means ba'da salam. So I felt like my prayer is complete or I added. That is the doubt, not reduction. All my doubt is either I did it completely exactly or there was addition. In this situation, I will do sujood al-ba'di, which means that after the salam, I finish my prayer, I said assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Straight away, then I will make the 2 sujoods. I will make the 2 sujoods. In this sense, I'm fixing my prayer, the doubts of addition that I felt like it has happened. Okay, so that is what we do. And here also, as I made mention with Imam Malik, it's encouraged always when you do that, make another tashahhud before you say salam. وقل إذا أو إذ حالة الزيادة انفرد سجودا بعد السلام يعتمد. But if I have certainty that yes, in this prayer I added something, I was confirmed, I was really convinced that this prayer is addition. There was addition in this prayer. In that sense, the same ruling as I made mention in the previous will be on me, which is I will make the sujood ba'da salam, after salam. And as I made mention in the previous, we still need to look at the at-tashahhud immediately after the sujood. So now I have certainty that I added something in the prayer. So the certainty of addition in the prayer, or doubts of addition, or the prayer is complete, the ruling is the same, which is the sujood after salam. When I have reduced in prayer, which is sunnah, I will do sujood before salam. When I have reduced in the prayer, and in the same prayer, some part of it, there was addition. This combination, what do? I will do what we call sujood al-qabli. I will still stick to the sujood of reduction, and then I will make that, and then make tashahhud again, and then say my salam. Okay? وَفِيهِ مَا لَمْ يَسْتَمِعْ النِّظَامِ لَهُ فَسَلْ عَنْهُ ذَوِي الْإِفْهَامِ. What I just made mention regarding reduction, addition, combination of reduction and subtraction, certainty of addition or doubt of addition. This ruling that I made mention, there are more to that. But here, the writer is saying that, of course, there are lots of questions surrounding sujood sahwi that one might ask. but my time and my arrangement of the book does not permit. So if you have any question regarding this aspect of prayer, ask those who know. So here he stopped there, but he's confirming to us there are a lot of questions regarding this aspect of our prayer. So you, as a student of knowledge or as a Muslim who wants to know more about your deen, ask. So we go to the things that spoil our prayer, and you can then, as you are online at the moment, for those of you online with us, if you have any question regarding this Sujood Sahwi, addition or subtraction in our prayer, what I encourage you to do, either write it now so that you don't forget, or type it there so that we will be able to read and answer your questions as we go. Or please keep the questions and try not to forget, so that after the lesson you can then unmute yourself and send your questions across. So that is regarding Sujood Sahwi. Now we go straight to Babu ma yubtilu as-salat, things that nullify our prayer. When you say I've prayed, but they say this prayer is spoiled, you have to redo it again. What are the things that make you do that? Remember carefully, we just finished talking about things that you use to fix your prayer. That is the Sujood Sahwi. Now, if you are to fix a prayer, or whatever that happened in your prayer can be fixed by Sujood Sahwi, it is very encouraged to always fix it with the Sujood Sahwi than to start the prayer all over again. Very important to acknowledge that, because some scholars even said that the prayer that you fall in Sujood Sahwi and you are able to fix that prayer you can have certainty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepting the prayer. The reason being, Shaitan, as your enemy, will never leave you alone. So when Shaitan has played with your mind to the extent that something happened in your prayer, and then with Allah's help you know how to fix the prayer, Shaitan at that moment, you have disgraced him by making him feel bad because of you are able to fix it. But when you said, well, something happened, I couldn't fix the prayer, I don't know how to fix the prayer, because of that, straight away you decided to start the prayer all over again, then that is where you are giving Shaitan the upper hand. So that is what those are the reasons why we have to learn about our prayer and know which part of prayer is compulsory, which part of the prayer is sunnah, which part of the prayer is mustahab. Knowing this, it helps us to understand what can be fixed, what cannot be fixed. When we leave the part that is fard, compulsory, sujood cannot fix it. We have to bring it no matter what. So those are the things we need to be familiar with. Now let's look at things that nullify our salat. Now, Babu fima yubtilu salat. ثلاث عشرة إذا ما تحدث مبتلة الصلاة منها الحدث. ثلاث عشرة, he said, we have about 13 different things that will happen in our prayer and make our prayer nullified. As-salatu, in our prayer. Minha, among them is al-hadath. Hadath is filth or impurity. So I finished prayer, I said assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Then I remembered earlier I went to the toilet, I did not cleanse myself. Straight away the prayer is gone. Or I am in the act of prayer, when I remembered that I went to the toilet, I've not cleaned myself. In that sense, prayer is gone. Or I am in the toilet and then what happened? I just passed wind. My prayer is gone. So those are what we mean by al-hadath. Hadath is anything that comes out of your body in terms of impurity, in front or at the back. In front, we're talking about urine. At the back, we're talking about toilet and passing wind. If these three happen, definitely your prayer is nullified. So that is one regarding things that nullify our prayer. وَالْعَمَلُ الْقَلِيلُ مِنْهَا يُبْتِلُهُ وَمِثْلُهُ كَثِيرٌ سَحْوِي يفعله. Now, عمل القليل. I said Allahu Akbar. I'm in the prayer, in front of me the window. And then all of a sudden I just walk forward. Let me just shut the window. So I started acting, doing unnecessary things in the prayer. Or Amalul Qalil, I'm in the prayer, I said Allah Akbar. Whilst in the prayer, I started buttoning my shirt. Touching this, bringing this in the prayer. All this do spoil your prayer. Just a bit of it, most often they said it reduces your reward, but doing that, it's too much of it, even if it's small, it can nullify your prayer. And also, when you do a lot of it with forgetfulness, you are praying maybe behind the imam or by yourself, but for some reason your mind has gone somewhere to the extent that you forgot you are in the prayer. You are doing some other activities in front of you. Then you realize, oh subhanallah, I'm in the prayer. At that moment, you have to start the prayer all over again. So you can see these things that we're talking about has nothing to do with sujood sahwi for you to fix the prayer. Your prayer is gone. وكثرة الكلام فيها ساهيا ومثله كثير السهو وقلة الكلام عمدا آتيا. The same thing applies to كثرة الكلام. I'm in the prayer and then I talk a lot even though it's forgetful. Out of forgetfulness, I started talking. That also nullified my prayer. My prayer is gone. Does sujood sahwi apply to nawafil? Yes, it does, but also it depends on what exactly you forgot. We'll, inshallah, remind me before the end when the questions are coming. We'll talk about that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for your question. Now, so I'm in the prayer and then I started talking out of forgetfulness. That also nullified the wudu. Or intentionally, I talked even though it's less. In talking lots out of forgetfulness is different from when I talk a little intentional. And this also here, even though it's written general, but it's not general. You are allowed to speak in prayer when the need arises. You are behind your imam. The imam forgot something. You said subhanallah. He didn't remember or didn't get what exactly he forgot or he left. And then you spoke to the imam by saying, you forgot this. At that moment, that talking, just one, is enough for the imam to fix the prayer. There's nothing wrong with your talking. The imam just needs to fix according to the sujood that he needs to do. Or the imam got confused what he forgot. And then you said subhanallah, he couldn't get it. And he said, please, what is it? And then one person should say, this exactly is what happened. That's fine. But apart from that, just to talk because something is happening around and then you just voice out. At that moment, your prayer is spoiled. You have to start all over again. ويبطل الصلاة للإنسان كحكاة عمدا مع النسيان. القهقهة الإنسان, a person laughing as human laugh. So when we say كحكاة الإنسان, basically we mean human's voice in laughing. We got different voice as we can call aswat, the sound that animals do or human does. When it comes to human, we use the word kahkahat al-insan. A person should laugh out loud. Okay? Like when the ducks are making the kwa sound, in Arabic you call batbatat al-bat. So these are the sound of the duck. And then we got also different, like when you talk about the horse and then the donkey, they also have the same sound. Zubab, the housefly or the fly, the sound that they make. Arabic has every single animal, the sound and its name. Not like necessarily in English you say the cry of a donkey or something like that. No, each animal will have its own sound and the name. Now, kahkahat al-insan is when a person laughs. So laughing in prayer intentionally or out of forgetfulness, both spoil your prayer. You have to start all over again. Remember, we are not talking about smile. There's nothing wrong with smile. Just laughing. That's why I said kahkaha, that's to laugh out loud. وَتَرْكُ مَا هُوَ مِنْ أَرْكَانِهَا وَذِكْرُهُ فَائِتَةً أَغْفَلَهَا. Now, this will bring us to some sort of controversial topic here, but we start with the first part. وَتَرْكُ مَا هُوَ مِنْ أَرْكَانِهَا. That is to leave part of things that are compulsory, the arkan salat. When you leave the compulsory aspect of prayer, definitely the prayer is not complete. And we made mention earlier when I was talking about Sujood Sahwi, I said Sujood Sahwi only fixes what is sunnah, not fard. When you leave any fard, you have to bring it up, or else salat is not complete. So you left things that are compulsory in your prayer. When you say salam, you remembered you have to make the prayer all over again, because you cannot pray without the arkan salat, which is the compulsory aspect of prayer. Now, the next part where it said, وَذِكِرُهُ فَائِتَةً أَغْفَلَهَا. I said, Allahu Akbar. I read Fatiha, I read Surah, I finished one rakah, second rakah, and then I remembered I'm praying Zuhur, but I have not prayed Fajr today. At that moment, by remembering that Fa'ita, the prayer that was on me, this prayer automatically is spoiled. I don't need to say salam to get out of it. By remembering Fa'ita, by remembering the prayer that I have forgotten, automatically has spoiled this prayer. We spoke about this some time back regarding those who said that you come to pray, the Imam is praying, example, Zuhur, or the Imam is praying Maghrib or Isha. You have missed the prayer before then, and they said make intention of your prayer and join the Imam. And I said no, we don't do that. You make your intention and pray your prayer. When you finish, you join the Imam. That is how it works. So here, example has been given us here. You came, started the prayer, and then in the prayer you remembered the previous prayer you've missed. Automatically the prayer that you are in now is gone. You need to start all over again. So that is the idea here. We spoke about this and I said that unless you have more than 4 prayer on you. Example. Last night I have not prayed Maghrib. I have not prayed Isha. I woke up this morning, I forgot, or whatever the situation, I have not prayed Fajr. This afternoon, I have not prayed Dhuhr, 4 prayer. I come to pray Asr. What I do is, I ignore the 4 prayer. I pray the Asr prayer. When I finish, then I bring the prayers that I have left from Maghrib, Isha, Fajr and Dhuhr. That is how I make it up. Or when I forgot the whole prayer, even Asr I've forgotten, I came to pray Maghrib. And then what I will do is I will just pray Maghrib. When I finish the Maghrib, I will pray the Isha prayer of yesterday, and then the Fajr prayer, the Dhuhr, the Asr, and then I wait for Isha for today. So that's how you make it up. But if the prayer is less than 4, 1, 2, 3, when you come to pray the next one, you have to do the previous ones before you do the current one. Wallahu a'lam. Allah help us. Now, وَتَرْكُهُ مِن نِصْفِهِ فَأَكْثَرْ قِرَاءَةَ الْحَمْدِ كَذَاكَ سُطِّرًا. The same thing applies to when you forgot part or half of Surah Al-Hamdi, which is Surah Al-Fatiha. We spoke about Surah Al-Fatiha in our fara'id. It is part of the compulsory aspect of the prayer. So for you to forget half of it or part of it, definitely the prayer is gone. Because Surah Al-Fatiha is the only surah in the Quran when it comes to prayer and you've forgotten and you have no any choice of remembering, you are allowed to look into the Quran and read it. Because without it, your prayer will not be complete. Now, وأن يصلي الإمام قبلها في وقتها فردا صلاة مثلها. Now, this one also go in 2 ways. The Imam came to the masjid, it's time for prayer. The people, no one is there. So the Imam decided, since there's no one in the masjid, I pray by myself. He prayed. Salam, salam. He finished the prayer. There the congregation started entering the masjid. What does he do? The previous prayer that he did by himself, that will be nullified since he's going to run another prayer with Jama'ah. But that one, what they do is he make that to the first one to be sunnah, and then he prays the current one. Even though scholars said that except Maghrib prayer. Except Maghrib prayer. Because Maghrib is 3 rakat. If he does that, he will end up with 6 rakat. Or let's say for instance, you came to the masjid, you finished praying Dhuhr, and then you saw people praying in congregation. Of course, the congregational prayer is more of reward in front of Allah than you by yourself. You can decide and say, Ya Allah, the one I did before, I made it as sunnah, and then I joined the imam and pray in congregation. But that also excluding Maghrib prayer. Excluding Maghrib prayer, because that is 3, that is odd. You don't need to make it even by making it 6. Wallahu a'lam. Another part is you prayed full 4 rakats, let's say for Dhuhr, Asr or Isha. Out of forgetfulness, if you add 1 or 2 out of the 4 rakat prayer, what do? We go back to our original ruling. You have to do Sujood al-Ba'di to fix the prayer. When you forget and add 1 whole rakah, you have to do Sujood al-Ba'di to fix the prayer. But when you add exactly the number of rakat of that prayer on top of it, Sujood al-Ba'di or whatever will not fix it. That prayer is spoiled. Example, when you pray 8 rakats in chain instead of 4 for Dhuhr, Asr or Isha, or when you pray 6 rakat in chain for Maghrib, or when you pray 4 rakats in chain for Fajr, at that moment that prayer is gone. You need to make it up. So you cannot add exactly equivalent of that prayer as part of forgetfulness. If that happened, that prayer is nullified. You need to make it up. The next ruling is ثم انكشاف عورة الإنسان بلا ضرورة ولا نسيان. Another thing that nullifies our prayer is انكشاف العورة. You are praying, you're wearing a pant and a shirt. Whilst you're praying, maybe you have no belt on, or someone intentionally came and pulled your pants down. Expose your aura. At that moment, it said here, bila daruratin, without any excuse. That is different. But if someone pulled your pant off and you can quickly grab it and put it back, your prayer, there's no problem with it. But out of your negligence, you just put a pant, you know it won't hold your waist, and then it's too big and there's no belt, and then it fell. Of course, you have not made it in a way for it to stand. For you to expose yourself in prayer, that prayer is gone. And scholars have gone further. It's not about just your nakedness. Even if you wear a tight pant, that when you make sujood, it exposes the shape of your body. And for a woman who wears too tight clothing to the extent when she's praying, it just exposes all the shape of her body, is considered inkishaf al-awra, exposing the aura, the body, and in that sense the salat is also nullified, it's not accepted. So we need to be mindful when it comes to these sort of things. ثم الصلاة بعد ذاك بنجس في موضع أو بدن أو ما لبس. And also the things that spoil our prayer is praying with najis, and I spoke about it in the beginning about hadith. So najis is basically things that touches our clothing or touches us or the place of prayer. So when we pray and we found out that on our clothing, the shirt, the pant or whatever, there is filth, impurity, that shouldn't be there. Definitely the prayer will not be accepted unless we change the clothes. Our burden or on our body, we found the dirt or the filth, or also mawda' salat, the prayer area where we prayed. And this scholars made it clear, as much as they gave a specification, but generally you're looking at exact spot that you pray. They said that if you're able to get a space where your forehead, your nose touches, that place is clean. Where your palm touches is clean. Where your knees touches is clean. Where your toes touch and where you sit in the prayer and where you stand in the prayer, if that portion is clean, ignore anything else. But this is just to say where you pray, because you cannot just sit down and say, well, in between where you make sujood and where your chest will be, where you are not going to touch, there's urine or there's toilet. But look, since I'm not making sujood there, there's no problem with that. You cannot do that. So basically all the prayer area is what we're talking about. So either your body or your clothes or the place that you pray, when there is a filth or impurity, that means that the prayer will be nullified until you clean yourself or your clothes or the place that you pray. Now, ويبطل الأصول منها والفروع أن يقطع النية بعد الشروع. Another thing that complete what we're discussing today regarding things that spoil our prayer is to spoil the intention after you've made the intention of prayer. To spoil the intention. You came, it's Asr. You know it's Asr. You got up and make wudu purposely for Asr. You stood up and pray. When you stood up, the intention has already started from making wudu and coming to stand to the prayer. And all of a sudden, you decided that maybe I'm praying Sunnah. Or I'm praying, you make different intention. That automatically spoiled the prayer. So that is where we stop regarding Babu Ma Yubtilu Salah. If there's any question on that also, feel free to ask. Now going back to the first question that was asked. So next week inshallah we'll start with Babu Fara'id al-Sawm, which inshallah, if I don't forget. Now, the question that brother put across is, this sujood sahwi, does it apply to nawafil prayer? Yes and no. Yes, in a sense that when you forget multiples of sunnah in the nawafil prayer, you will then take the sujood sahwi on board. But if it's just, let's say, one takbir you've forgotten in sunnah, you don't need to worry about it. So at the end of the day, nawafil is sunnah, it's optional. So, but still, because it's a prayer, the degree of how we assess our prayer will come into action the same as we do in fara'id. It's just that the scholar said, as long as it's not multiples of forgetfulness in the prayer, then that should be fine when it comes to sunnah prayer. Wallahu a'lam. We give you some few minutes because this, as I made mention, is a technical topic, and there might be other things that, as the writer made mention, did not bring, but you have experienced it or know about it, and you are more than happy to at least ask questions regarding that, so that inshallah we can discuss it if Allah has given us the ability, inshallah. So we give you some time, inshallah. I know Abu Zubair is online, so if anything at all, he should be able to have a question. Naam. Oh, there's a question. So if we miss one of the arkan of wajib or salah, we restart the whole prayer, as sujood as-sahwi is only for sunnah act. That is definitely true. So when we left, if we leave any portion of the arkan, which is the compulsory aspect of our prayer, definitely sujood as-sahwi will not fix it. But let's say example, you don't need to always spoil the prayer straight away. It all depends on how and where you left. Now, for example, Surah Al-Fatiha is part of the arkan salat. It is part of the main component of the prayer, which is fard. So let's take that for example. I prayed 4 rakat prayer. I am in my tahiyyah, and I remembered that, oh, one of the rakat of the prayer, I did not read Surah Al-Fatiha. What do I do? Do I need to spoil the whole prayer? No. I will just stand up and bring one whole rakah to replace the one that I did not read Surah Al-Fatiha. When I finish this, I'll make tahiyyah and then say salam. Once I finish my salam, I will do sujood sahwi ba'adi in a way that that particular rak'ah that I forgot Surah Al-Fatiha in, it has been an additional act in my prayer and I'm fixing it with it. But when I finished praying, everything, left the masjid, and I remembered, no, my prayer, I did not read Surah Al-Fatiha. In that instance, I have to come and start the prayer all over again. So it's not about always, the reason is to spoil the prayer and start all over again. It all depends on at what time did I know I left some arkan. And if that arkan can be made up, then I have to bring the whole rakah. Or let's say, for instance, I prayed. And then later I got to know that one of the prayer, when I finished Surah Fatiha and Surah of Fatiha, instead of making ruku, I forgot and I went straight to sujood. Ruku is part of the arkan salat. So because of that, I will do the same thing that I spoke about. I will bring one whole rak'ah to complete the prayer, and then after which I will do the sujood sahwi to fix it. Thank you so much, sister, for your question.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
وضع خذ مني يا تزور الحور له دهني
والملائكة
فرحة الجن والطيور جاء ترقص تغني لحبيبنا.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
يا نبأ البشرى والمكارم طيبة العشرة
والملائكة
شافع الحشرة يوم يقوم والناس منتشرة والملائكة.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
الصحوب راحته لليتامى وفي الصلاة راحته
والملائكة
بورك ساحته والغصن أثمر لتفاحته والملائكة.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
السحوب راحته لليتامى وفي الصلاة راحته
والملائكة
بورك ساحته والغصن أسمر لتفاحته والملائكة.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
عليك سلام منا يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
يا النسيم هبة وطيب فواح جهة القبة
والملائكة
العشوق لبى راح ينوح يومات ما غبى والملائكة.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة
النسيم هبة وطيب فواح جهة القبة
والملائكة
العشوق لبى راح ينوح يوم آتي وغابة والملائكة. وغفير وذره جل والملائكة.
عليك سلام يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة.
عليك سلام مني
يا رسول الإنس والجن والملائكة.
عليك سلام مني
يا رسول الإنس والجن